Good morning. It is the 25th. It is Saturday. It's before the kind of the calm before the storm. I'm out here today. This is probably going to be another multi-day video because the weather is not cooperating, but I'm beating the rain today, more or less. And first time I ever saw a ranger here before, but he, friendly enough, just kind of struck me as odd. I've been here for years. I've never seen a ranger here before. Nice to know they're here, though. No particular plan. Like I said, the rain is going to be a factor today. It's a coldish, there is moisture in the air too, you can feel it. A coldish 38, 39 degrees. And so when it does start to rain, it's going to be cold rain. So we're here to beat the weather today. And then I'll probably be back out tomorrow to do a longer hike and all that. But that's our plan. And we're going to hit the trail and try to beat the weather before it gets ugly. So we'll see you. Recovering from a non-accident per se, but what happened was I was hoping to get up here, do some droning, and when we were down in the trailhead area, it's not indicative of how really windy it is at higher altitudes. And up here on the top of the hill, I was hoping to get some intro footage, and it's going to be interesting to see what the video looks like because the drone hit a good gust of wind and went from like changing position of 1 feet to easily like 30. So it was before we hit the high wind warning, and then the fog started playing with the sensors up there. This is the tricky thing about mountain fog. It's typically a lot lower than it appears. It doesn't even look foggy right now, but I wasn't even 300 feet up when I hit the fog. And drone sensors and fog, and from my own experience, the spark sensors do not play nice with fog. Your positional sensors just give up. And that's why I didn't do anything like send it out over any particular. I just wanted to get some rising footage today. I knew it might be a little windy. The fog was my greater concern though. But long story short, I think it might have actually gotten knocked for a loop at one point too, because the app made it look like it did a flip in the air almost as like the wind got the better of it. So I brought it right back down and figured I don't really want to spend a lot of the day in basically borderline freezing rain looking for it after it crashes in the woods somewhere. I already had one. The other one that I have already has crashed 3 times under these kind of circumstances, and ironically in the local Vigilance woods too. So I've had more crashes here than in Vermont. So that is going to be I have my new Mavic Mini with me too, but that's even lighter than the Spark. So its maiden voyage is not going to be in 35-mile-an-hour winds on the top of a mountain. So we'll try to do some test flying with him tomorrow. Maybe here, maybe not. But that's going to be another day. The wind up right above the tree line, about 200 feet up. The wind is not being friendly to drones, so that's going to be that. We're going to move on down the side of the hill and see what we find from there. And if it's a quiet day, we're probably coming back for a multiple day video, like said in the intro. Yeah, now you can kind of, if you look up, hold on, just to make the point, because I have a swiveling camera. I don't know if that's going to catch that with those pines right there, but if you see them swaying in the wind, that's like the lighter end of what the wind is doing right now. And the visual gauge that you'll see when you see this is, if you can see the top of the trees visibly swaying, then the wind is probably strong enough that droning is probably not your best idea. So we're gonna end the segment here, head down the way, and that's going to be it for flying today. Hopefully I got a usable intro. If not, I'll try. Okay, we're back. So sometimes that's how it happens. The rain seems to have decided to take a break, so we're going to do some quick tracking. This is still an exercise of kind of making of the day what we can make it. We're here, so we might as well. Minor game trail following some Bambi tracks, but they kind of follow the grain down that way. Probably go down into a lower area. Other than that, I've seen some squirrel tracks. Again, like last week, nothing extraordinary. The ranger asked if I was shed hunting, which is a thing I know. I guess from lack of caffeine this early in the morning, took me a minute to register what he was talking about. So, hell, why not? kind of leisurely stroll up the hill, and if I happen upon a fresh set of antlers, then all the better. But if not, you know, that's kind of, as far as I know, that's kind of a random thing to find anyway. But we'll kind of take a walk through the woods and see there's squirrel tracks. See what we find. There's more prevalent deer tracks. They're walking back up to the high meadow again more. But last week didn't see a lot. Saw like maybe 2. They were further down on the back of the ridge. This week, I'm gonna say squirrel because it's right near the tree. It looks like, yeah, it is. Squirrel tracks. Like he stopped and was up on his back legs though. Here's some deer bedding or digging or something. Right down. Right there. Nothing out of the ordinary, just, I didn't want that. There you go, I gotta edit that out. Anyway, aside from my bad camera control due to the fact my hands are getting cold, we're gonna, another reason the droning might be a bad idea, once you start losing dexterity in your fingertips due to the cold, then your fine motor skills and the remote control are going to probably turn to crap too. But this walk is kind of, well, actually, hold on. We'll check for tracks. That might be bobcat spray right here. Somebody sprayed by the tree. Not that you need to see this, but somebody did. Could be that, could be a deer. To be honest, I'm not really sure what the spraying habits of a deer are as far as territory. It could be either. Nothing overly extraordinary, just that. Sorry, I'm just kind of, we're walking into like more down deadfall kind of things, making navigation more zigzag-ish, so I kind of need to pay a little attention to surroundings and more Bambi tracks. This is where they cross up on the higher level. This little stony creek, if it even rates as a creek, it's trickle of water, and this is basically where we are for a quick scenic, heading our way back up towards the high meadows up that way, and we're going to end this segment here because there's nothing really going on, and the camera will be at the ready if that changes. Other than that, we'll be back tomorrow for a second segment of this. Good morning. It is the next day. As I said, this is a multiple day video, and the difference of 2 days, today is sunny and nice. Yesterday was foggy and rainy, and today's better of the 2 days, and I feel redeemed as far as the drone goes because it got to fly today. And the fog wasn't playing havoc, and it didn't get barrel rolled in the wind, which is the first time I've ever seen that happen. I'm gonna allow we're in a logged out area. That's why it looks like this, obviously. But I'm going to allow myself a wee bit of arrogance in that I think it says something as a testimony to my growing experience as a drone pilot that I had the thing up in such lousy conditions yesterday, and I brought it back down safely, whereas that easily could have turned into a crash situation because the wind was probably gusting in the 20-mile-an-hour range close to the ground, but it got to the fog. You'll see in the video that I have, it got easily north of 30, 35 mile an hour winds higher up in elevation. And the fog at one point was so thick that you can't even see the ground from where you were. And we weren't really that high up. I think we may have touched 300 feet, maybe. But considering the thing can cover the ground and get up as high as 300, 400 feet in a matter of seconds, that's really not a hard thing to do. The fact that the wind didn't just grab it and send it towards the state line is testimony to a combination of staying in constant control of the controls and not allowing to let up per pressure for a second, because if you do, you're going to lose your drone, basically. I also had an occasion to get a feel for the controls on my new Mavic Mini, which I need to, got some Bambi tracks hiding behind all this. I need to get a better feel for in terms of the speed differences versus the Spark, because they have, whereas the Spark has regular and sport mode, the Mini has position mode, cinematic mode, and sport mode. And I already have determined sport mode. Keep your eye on the ball if you're not used to sport mode, because the difference in resulting speeds of the two, for the Spark anyway, are a difference between like 5 and 30 miles an hour, which, as you can figure, is probably it doesn't seem like that fast, but when you're in the midair and you don't have turns and stop signs and things there to basically regulate your behavior and you're going in a straight line, 30 miles an hour is actually pretty damn fast if you're a little aircraft. Roughly speaking, this is a broad generalization of mathematics, but you can basically cover 100 feet every second or two when you're going that fast. So when people are claiming that the Spark can get out a mile, they're definitely in sport mode. I keep it usually in cinematic mode, because the concern being the resulting video, because mine is more of a flying camera than doing the other selfie related things you can do. It's great that it can do that, but I don't really need it to. But with the Mini, you have position mode, which I was playing with the controls briefly today, and it seems like position mode is fairly quick. It's definitely faster than regular Spark mode, and then you have sport mode, and then you have the cinematic mode, which is the one where you're going slow to get maximal detail on video if you're using it as a flying camera, which is 90% of what I do with it. So a little drone tutorial today for those that don't have one. If you do get one, just be aware that it is A, very addictive, B, there are things to know as far as like FAA liability, like I got into in the last video. The FAA is planning changes. They're in the planning works now, and they have the want for folks to lend their commentary, so now's the time for you to tell them that their ideas suck or not. And it seems like most of the people that are the most adequately, there's some turkey tracks again. The gaggle came through the other night, it looks like. But yeah, the scenery here is what it is. They logged this about 3 or 4 years ago and left a mess. But you get a variety of terrain in here. I guess that's my point in the video today. But let's go over here. Regarding the remote ID stuff, this is for my own selfish needs. I think it's more geared towards people that own the more expensive Mavic models, as well as like the Phantom 4, the bigger drones, because these are people that are using them commercially and are in that commercial space versus, say, the desired niche that Amazon wants with delivery, and that's going to balloon into a whole thing. But for folks like me that fly over the forest for the sake of using this as like an aerial recon or a video tool. The Mavic Mini at present is under the weight limit, so all their proposed rules don't really matter a whole lot. And not that that can't change. They can pretty much make the rules as they want, which is where a lot of people are hoping to fight this, in the point that you need a risk assessment to have the impact of it. That's a federal guideline, and they have, apparently they don't have one, so that is a point on which the drone public wants to fight this. But I guess my rambling drone tutorial is basically the gist of this. I have the Mavic Mini, and I will fly that as I normally have for the foreseeable future, just because that seems to not really be on their radar as much. Anyway, I'm going to end this segment here, probably wrap up the video here. It's just quiet here today. There's not really a lot going on. So unless we have a moose or a Bigfoot pop out in front of me, we're going to call it all quiet. The wind was a little kinder today, which I appreciate. Yesterday it was a complete beast. And yeah, not really Bigfoot oriented this time around, mainly just because I think the normal set of circumstances for having any local population come down here is effectively, they're just not around this time of this year, because the conditions just haven't aligned. You've got Bambi tracks, and yeah, I can do some amateur tracking type videos and things like that during the winter. You can tell this is kind of my slow season, but we are essentially going to start giving some thought to whether or not I can make it up to Vermont in the next week or so to gain some recon up there. Maybe it's more active up there. It's been quiet down here, so unless that changes, I'm going to have to give that some thought. So today is the 26th as opposed to yesterday, the 25th. And this is just me kind of giving some droning factoids and walking through the following stretch of woods. Otherwise, just another kind of a quiet vlogging session, and you can't make the monkey people come out from hiding if they don't want to. So we're going to wrap this one up here and say enjoy your Sunday. I basically am, so we'll see ya.